So the new season of anime is here, spring 2019, and one of the most highly anticipated has finally dropped its first episode. I'm not gonna lie, I've been waiting for this one for a while, since I heard about the manga and, just kind of the big fan base behind it, people really championing it. And then of course I checked it out probably a couple years back now, a year back. The manga, I even gave a first impression on the first volume, but one of the things that really got me hyped about this series in particular, because, there's a lot of series that come in Shonen Jump. There's a lot of, flash in a pan, so to speak. So you never really know which one is going to stick. So at first I was like, yo, this is probably going to get canned. At the time, that was my mindset. 3 or 4 years ago, I was thinking everything that came into Shonen Jump, why even bother? They're going to throw it out. But this one stood the test of time. And then something that caught my eye in particular, which is why I was like, yo, I gotta watch this first episode no matter what. At the very least, I gotta watch the first one. But I think I'll be watching more than just the first one after watching the first one. Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba. Man, the Studio Ufotable episode 1. Woo! Let's talk about it.
You never gonna fly, even if you try. You never gonna ride. Gotta keep your head up, even if you cry. That's just one more reason to try.
So it seems like we got a big season coming in this year with the spring season of anime. Like, I see One Punch Man is coming through. We have quite a few contenders, but one of the ones that I was like, yo, I can't wait for this to come, was Kimetsu no Yaiba, aka Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, and episode 1, Studio Ufotable, the highly acclaimed studio behind the Fate Stay franchise, pretty much like Fate Stay Night, Fate Zero. That's one of my, arguably, I would say that's the best anime I've ever seen, and that's, again, my opinion, or at the very least short anime, because it's only like, 26 episodes, I believe, but Fate Zero was like freaking incredible. So, when it comes to the studio, that you got high expectations, and boy, to see them take on a shonen like this, you know what I mean? It's a shonen. I never even expected Ufotable to really go this direction, although they've showed interest in the past. Here's a little history. They did the original one-shot OVA of Toriko, just kind of, it was like a pilot, so to speak, to kind of get studios excited to see which ones would pick it up, and then eventually, of course, Toei picked it up, and it went downhill from there. But they showed a little bit of promise and interest, at the very least, in the shonen genre when they did that Toriko thing. So I was like, okay, maybe, you never know. But I still was like, they're too much into the Fate franchise. They're probably not, and the, Kara no Kyokai, they're probably not going to go this direction. But episode 1, you could tell, because this preview was out already for months. Like, there was chunks of this episode that was showcased for months. Like, I seen it, like, a lot of fluid animation. You see the main character, Tanjiro, running. And I'm going to give you a brief synopsis, because I've been very poor at introducing, in case you're a newcomer and you don't know anything about this. In essence, to give you a short synopsis of episode 1, main character Tanjiro, highly respected, very appreciated in his community. His family appreciates him. He's very noble. Everybody looks at him as like somebody that, he's a cool dude. And to be honest with you, I get like a Hercules type of story from this, because sometimes just because you're appreciated on a certain level, that doesn't necessarily make you a hero. It's the things after, a lot of the acts that you see on the adventure, that show whether or not someone's a hero. And that's where I think Tanjiro's character is kind of going in that path, so to speak. Because again, in the beginning of the story, prior to tragedy, he is respected. He is looked at as a good person, but he still doesn't have the tools capable of really protecting people. Because at the end of the day, we see when that big battle goes down towards the end of the episode, that he made mistakes in the beginning, but then he learns quickly. So it gives us a lot of context into who the main character is with this first episode alone. Tanjiro, we know quite a bit about him. He's admirable. He's admirable to a fault. You would argue that, hey, he's kind of like a Jonathan Joestar from part 1 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where it's like, man, he wants to do the right thing, but he's still freaking, like, at the same time, unpredictable. And that's something that I always like, when a character is unpredictable, like a Gon Freaks from Hunter x Hunter, or Emma from The Promised Neverland. When a character's unpredictable, they usually can get interesting and break the mold. And maybe that's also one of the main reasons why, possibly due to later on in the source material. Again, I've only read the first volume, and I'm going to be very spoiler free as I can be for the later parts outside of what we get in this first episode. But man, it's good, okay? It's good. I don't know. I lost my train of thought right now, but it's freaking good. But again, maybe the studio knows that this is going to be a really good story and very well thought out, and that's also why they invest. Because the Fate franchise, especially the main stuff like Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Unlimited Blade Works, the Heaven's Feel route, the things that they're doing on that scale, you know that they're onto some good stuff. You can expect greatness. And Kimetsu no Yaiba, Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba episode 1 delivers just that. Seeing the twists and the turns. I think there was a bit that was cut out from the manga. I think a lot of more of the graphic stuff really wasn't there of showing, hey, this whole massacre. But for the most part, you get a good idea of what Tanjiro went through. And again, it kind of shows that whole no good deed goes unpunished because, you know, him trying to be nice all the time. Then look what happened. He's left with, hey, I'm with just my sister. But it's also an interesting story as well. I like when Shonen Jump manga break the mold. Promise Neverland, something a bit different, of course. And now we have a series like this where it's kind of this journey and this personal journey at that of this main character to save his sister that is basically like a demon now. She's seemingly a demon, but at the same time, unlike what demons have been described to be in this story up until then, this demon is actually protecting someone, protecting her brother at that. When we get the plot twists of that no matter what, he still wants to save his sister, even though she's a man-eating demon against that guy, you know, that attacks him or whatnot. You see that this is, again, going back to my original point, a different story. And I like that. A breath of fresh air is always great. Instead of just getting the classic trio on an adventure, you're getting this guy. And maybe we'll get a trio later on down the road, but it's this guy with his sister that, again, is kind of, in a way you could say, sick, because in his mind, he's going to find a cure to bring her back to being the normal sister that she once was. The art style and the animation, I will say it's hard with a series like Kimetsu no Yaiba. I could tell as well that this is one of those editorial picks where, like, you could see that they're going to allow the series to go no matter where it is in the rankings, right? And I don't know if it's doing good or bad. I haven't been keeping up with the rankings, but you can see that this series in manga form is going to be around for a while. And that's another thing that kind of makes me surprised that the Studio Ufotable would actually pick it up, because I doubt that this is going to be a weekly thing. If I'm not mistaken, it's confirmed already for a set amount of episodes. But maybe, again, that's another telling of the times that we're headed in the seasonal everything, because this series as a seasonal, I'd be totally fine with it. This first episode, absolutely amazing. Like, if you liked the Promised Neverland first episode, and I know I keep going back to that, but that's like one of my freshest comparisons, but if you like those seasonal first banger episodes, it even gives me a little bit of, I don't know if anyone remembers Claymore, kind of reminds me of Claymore as well. It gives me a lot of different really cool vibes. But if you're asking me, hey, is this more like a simplistic series, like a Black Clover type of, you know, it's simple, but maybe later on gets complex? It seems as though this is more, it gives me the vibes of like a Hunter x Hunter, the way the writing is done. It feels a lot more mature than your average shonen and Shonen Jump, and I've been saying that a lot lately, which maybe means that Shonen Jump is starting to age a bit. Even though the characters are starting to be younger, again, they're in darker and more gruesome situations, and this one is no exception. Honestly, Tanjiro, just seeing the massacre, just seeing him with his sister and the tragedy that befell him and his family, this is freaking crazy. And even all the little foreshadowing about the monsters and the demons and stuff like that, this is clearly showcasing that this is going to be a really good series, because this episode 1, like, yeah, there's stuff that is good, there's stuff that, like, yo, that was a great first episode, but I could tell that based on this first episode alone, the studio is putting their best foot forward. This is going to be very, very friggin' exciting and hype, and the character designs are great, and even, of course, leading into the end, which, you know, it's been a standard practice for quite some time now that anime, they have that first episode where they put in all this extra animation, and it's like the regular animation, the standard animation in this episode was good, but then when they go into that really awesome scene, high quality, that they put a lot of time and effort into, it gets incredible. And the art and animation for this episode, again, I can't stress, absolutely amazing. The story, very, very cool for a shonen to be done by Ufotable nonetheless, and on top of that, be very well written. This first episode alone, very promising, and I highly recommend it. If you like something a little bit like a Hunter x Hunter with a darker vibe, or a Claymore, but maybe not an all-female cast, I think you're going to be in for one hell of a treat, because Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba episode 1, absolutely terrific. I want to give it a 10 out of 10 for the first episode, because I felt as though this is how a shonen should be done. It should be done seasonally. It should be done with this high, you know, preparation. They had these scenes, again, done for quite some time, some of these big pieces, and when a studio goes in with that type of preparation behind them, again, we ain't gonna see any blunders. Now it's just a matter of how good the source material is, and at the very least, I know from the first volume that I read, it was pretty freaking good. But I'm kind of curious what you guys think. If you've seen episode 1 of Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, do you think that this could be the next big thing? I've talked about this series a couple times in the manga form, but now that we got a really high quality anime to boot, I could see this one rising up the ranks very quickly. And Studio Ufotable has a proven track record that they got the sauce when it comes to making really high quality anime. And your overall thoughts and expectations moving forward with Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the series. Where you think it's going to go from here? We know how the first episode ended, that Tanjiro got a hint to go meet somebody based on the recommendation of this guy. But, you know, there's something that I think the cliffhanger left that was a very big message. And it kind of showed, going back into what I said earlier in the video about this whole Hercules situation, that Tanjiro, even though he was willing to, you know, do anything to save his sister or whatever, he had to be able to fight back. You can't only just be able to be a sacrifice. You can't just be a martyr. Sometimes you gotta fight back. And I thought that was a very powerful message that, again, that guy at the end, which I can't even remember his name, to be honest with you. I've been watching a lot of anime. But yeah, I know Tanjiro, and I know Tanjiro's sister, and I think Ukidake is the guy that he's supposed to meet. See, I'm getting it. But yeah, Kimetsu no Yaiba, episode 1. Best of this season, best of the year so far. You think this is going to be hype, next big thing? But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit the bell to get all notifications. Please hit that bell. Yeah, YouTube be playing games. Hit the bell. Get the notifications wherever the bell is right now. And if you want to follow any of my social media, links, of course, in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule. Anime and manga for life, boy. Bow. Have an awesome day. Can't forget the music, though. As a matter of fact, hold on. Let me play y'all something real quick.
It's coming, I feel it. Everything that you've done to me is unbelievable. But it's coming back. Now that I see the truth, how could I work with you? It's unbelievable, 'cause you're real good. I'm disappointed in you.